Ladies and gentlemen, episode 11, Posts and Pints. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us. Super duper, great, awesome, stupendous. We got a lot to talk about tonight regarding possibly coming back. We finally get some sports, maybe, boys. We might get some sports. That is the talk of the town.
Everyone remembers that video game. And as I say, everyone remembers that video game. I don't remember the name of it, but it's the meme where it's just the guy who's just staring at you, and it has hit the X button for doubt.
For doubt. All right, so we'll go around. Matt will start us off. What are you drinking? I know you've got 3 different beers tonight. I got probably a backstory and a half, so everybody sit back, relax, and eat some popcorn at this point.
No, it's no backstory. I got the idea from Kyle. Elementary. Brewing Company. Absolutely love them. They're really, really good. Been there once or twice, but I had the opportunity to pick up 3 different types, Sports Balls, Double Agent, and the best beer name ever, Random Placement of Things. So
You're telling me Sports Balls isn't your favorite?
No, Sports Balls is good. I love Sports Balls. Sports Balls happen to be my favorite.
Sports Balls in and around your mouth?
Yeah.
I happen to be sipping on Sports Balls as we speak.
Look, he's putting it in and around. Oh, yep, in his mouth.
Yeah, it's right in his mouth. Yep.
I truly enjoy Sports Balls, guys. I'm gonna let you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the first time he doesn't do a sappy story. Okay, congratulations, Matt.
It's pretty dry. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty dry. The aftertaste is a bit dry, but I do love Sports Balls.
Like most of my jokes.
One more time.
Not that part. Who's going next?
I believe it's me, right?
Yes, it is.
If we're going by the classic order. I am drinking this wonderful beer from Germany. It's called Dab. And ironically, there you go. Everyone did the dab, of course. You got it. It's called Dab. It's from Germany, but ironically,
signature beer.
There you go. Ironically, it's from Dortmund, not Munich, but it's a good beer. Germans make pretty good beer, so I'll drink all of them.
It did something right.
I have heard the Germans do a good beer. I have heard that.
They've been known to make one.
Resources have told me.
Those are confirmed sources. Can we get confirmed? Sky Sports has confirmed Germans good at making beer.
Fuck Sky Sports. I've confirmed Germany has good beers.
Anyway.
Alex?
I am drinking a frosted cranberry cider from Lancaster County. My last one.
No Jameson tonight.
Cranberry cider. Sounds
like I said, this is my last one. So afterwards,
about halfway through, he's going to pop out some Jameson.
No, the bottle's right there, so we'll have to make. Don't worry about it.
Well, I'm a lazy piece of shit, and I still haven't gone to the liquor store, so here I am with more PBR.
Classic.
That's better than me, dude, because I'm drinking H2O. And we're going to move immediately on to the first one.
H2O happens to be my favorite shooter.
The whole point of this podcast when we first started was for us to drink together. Justin, you're fucking it all
I think
up.
his loophole. So I think Justin's loophole here is we're not together, so he doesn't like. There you go. See,
just because our Tuesday night bars closed doesn't mean you can't drink with us, Justin.
First of all,
we'll always be together, Justin.
I was about to say, first and foremost.
Can you put a shirt on, please? Please don't make that statement ever again. Look directly into the camera without a shirt on. I can't.
I feel like
tell him how to live his life.
I feel like Kyle's staring directly into my soul.
Yes, I can't look anymore. I need some water.
No, that's honestly something I really miss. I miss Fox and Hounds on Tuesday nights. I miss me and Justin.
I miss the Lion.
I just want to go get wings.
At the Lion.
I'm okay with it. I've lived it for 40 days now. I'm okay with never leaving the house ever again.
It's easily been 382 days.
It feels like it's been.
Hold on. This isn't year 7. We're not in year 7 of staying inside.
No.
Please stop.
There's no way you're telling me though. Like everybody wants to leave the house while this whole thing is going on. Day 1 of everything opening back up. Guarantee you, most people go out for like 6 hours and they go, "Yeah, I'm gonna go back to not leaving the house."
Yeah, it was so much better. These introverts had it fucking right the whole time.
They got it out of their system at that point.
No, what's too funny is like I think I saw someone comment. They're like, everyone's like, I can't wait to go out. I can't wait to go out. There's someone who's like, I'm gonna let you guys all like go outside for 30 days and then I'll see if I want to go.
Man, the job market's really gonna be good 30 days after it opens up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Quarantine for at least 2 weeks after they say. Just saying.
I feel like you left a word out here for the first question, but I guess we'll dive into it. There's a lot of talks. La Liga canceling the rest of the season, right? A lot of other leagues.
League One. League One. That's France.
French League One, yes.
Fromage.
We don't have anyone covering League One, but League One is canceled.
And then the Dutch league. Wait, is it the Dutch league, the Belgian league, and the French league are all? They've all called it quits for the year.
Yeah.
I know the
I actually didn't even hear about Belgium and Dutch, but that's crazy.
Well, the Belgian league called the season, and I think they gave the title to Club Brugge, but I think like there was only like a couple games left, and mathematically, I think they already won it. Even though Ajax was leading, the Dutch league canceled the season and didn't declare anyone a winner. They literally are just gonna like call the season null and void. But apparently, there's rumors that they might retract that, because if UEFA makes them retract that, you know, they have kind of no choice.
You need money. You can't do that.
I think it might have been that.
Well,
I think it might have been that league. There was one league that said they were thinking about crowning the champion based on the stats at the halfway point, which would literally affect everybody except for the Premier League.
Huh. So the only problem I have, like, and this is something that even though these leagues have called it quits, like these leagues are like, nope, we're done. Like, and in France, they didn't even have a choice. In France,
that's the big
prime minister
thing. I don't think the leagues decided to. I think it was kind of imposed on them.
Yeah. The their prime minister, president. I don't know how France does government.
They like revolutions.
I don't know how they run things.
They've had about
their French fries and their French toast.
At this point.
I know. All I know is
they like waving that white flag and giving up. So they did it with the sports league also.
White flag.
You're going to piss off all three people that listen to us.
All I know is that apparently, like their head of government was just like, nope, there are no sporting events, no concerts until like September. I think September was the month, and mathematically, and then just as well with like everything going on with the start of the upcoming season, there's no way that they would be able to play the rest of this season and at the same time start the next season without, you know, a transfer window and stuff like that. So they basically are just like, yep, Divisions 1 and 2 of French soccer, that's it, call it quits, everything is done.
FIFA itself also called for leagues to end in the last few days, I think.
And then to also go back into it, the Premier League, I think it was today or the day before, like Sky Sports and a couple other like lower level like media sources are also coming out and saying that like certain Premier League players just don't want to come back. Like certain Premier League players. So the Premier League is flirting with a couple ideas to finish the season. And I think the Premier League is under the most pressure. The reason why is they make the most on TV money. I don't even think it's a close second. I think like the Premier League dominates a huge chunk of money when it comes to TV revenue, you know, and all that other stuff. So the Premier League is under a little bit more pressure than everyone else. But at the same time, they want to do like I've heard them flirting with like a World Cup system where they have like 4 or 5 games a day. So you're basically in groups and you play a game. Then you rest 3 days. Then you play another game. Then you rest 3 days. And teams are basically in rotation, and it's at a closed facility where all the teams stay at. Like in the World Cup, it sounds like a clusterfuck. But at the same time, I speak for everyone here. We all love the Euros. We love the World Cup. We love the fact that it doesn't matter if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It doesn't matter. There are games on TV.
I'm watching it at work, dude. World Cup, I'll turn it on at work.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what the Premier League is trying to adapt. The Premier League's like, hey, all we need to do is get 10 more games in for every team, or what I think it's like 8, 9, 10, something like that, games left for everyone. Liverpool only need 2 games to win the title. So honestly, if Jurgen wants to play it smart, he just plays 2 games, plays his best lineup. They go get 2 wins, and then the rest of their starting 11.
It's 10 games. Jurgen's going to play it smart, not show up, forfeit 10 games, still win the championship.
Yeah, you don't have to show up.
Yeah.
Done.
But, I mean, but no. But like I said, I like that idea, but now you have a problem where if the players, it's tough when you say players, because if it's just a bunch of like bench players or like random squad rotation players, no one gives a crap if they don't show up. Oh, well, we don't want to play for the safety. But if you're Kevin De Bruyne's, your Mo Salah's, your Bruno Fernandes, when your bigger names in the Premier League start to come out and say that, hey, nah, for my family's safety, for everyone's safety, we choose not to play. That's when you start running into problems. That's when, crap, can we really have this if our best players are there? Now, don't get me wrong. If there's any soccer on TV, it's going to be the most watched soccer. I still don't know why the Belarusian league hasn't sold their rights to ESPN.
I honestly, they would, like, people in the UK or Europe would absolutely watch crappy farmers play, FC Traktor versus, Dynamo Minsk play just because it's some soccer.
And Alex, you chuckle. I would wake up at 6:00 in the morning on a Tuesday to watch Belarusian soccer. Don't get me.
Yeah, you're also a sociopath. I don't know what to say.
You wake up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. on a weekend to watch games.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, get at me.
No. So my one thing that I want to talk about this is
3 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep.
My question here is, okay, France, Belgium, and Netherlands called the seasons. Who gets Europa and Champions League spots? How do they decide that?
So that's the thing that a lot of people are still concerned about. The French league has
like the current standings.
So,
how do you do that?
Pick a name in a hat.
Basically, could you imagine, Justin? Out of you are the team in 17th place, you get to play in Champions League next year. I get to what?
I mean, it wouldn't be bad.
That club is going to end up facing Real Madrid or Barcelona in the first
27 to nothing going into the second half.
Spots? Who got the Champions League spots? Norwich, and from Syria, Lecce.
Oh my God!
Milk?
Could you imagine?
Okay.
Could you imagine?
Yes.
It's
just a jar of milk.
That's the name of the team. LECCE, I think it is.
Could you imagine
Calgary, one of those teams.
A Pookie party in the Champions League? A Timo Pookie party. Oh,
yes. I would pay money to watch a team like Paderborn play like Barcelona.
I would.
It would just be demolished.
No, but
I want to expand on one thing Matt said though. If you don't call it though, and you're gonna come back, I think Premier League's handling it the correct way with
that's not confirmed.
One site. If they're gonna do that, I think that's the right way to go. Like closed site, like one area, so you can easily control everything.
It would literally be no fans. It
because that's similar to what the MLB is proposing. They're proposing that they're going to start in late June, early July. All games are going to be played at various stadiums in Arizona, closed stadiums, because they want to monitor and test everybody before these games and such.
Oh, so I was about to say Alex is next, but on the baseball talk, it would be really easy to hear the Astros hitting trash cans when there's no fans in the stadium.
Who's hitting the trash can? It's just Alex Cora standing in the background.
Right. I was just gonna jump in and say real quick when we were talking about Champions League is that as of today, Champions League is now postponed until further notice. So like everything they had scheduled in June is now postponed, and including the Euro 2020, that's now moved to 2021. So in other terms, it's basically canceled. Everything's
going off what Alex said, I'm a little bit sad about the Euros being postponed. Obviously, we know what's going on and we can't really be that mad about it. But my justification is that Ukraine has had an amazing qualifying season. Like they legitimately qualified for the Euros.
Except for that one team that you follow that can't score a goal.
That's not the national team, but we'll get to that later in today's episode. But in terms of the national team, like we qualified in 2012 because we were the host nation. This is our first time qualifying for an international competition, and we are like one of the top seeded teams, like in the top 5 seeded teams. So that is super amazing because we had an amazing 2018 and 2019 qualifying season, and now that we qualified for the Euros, we can't play. And I'm just like, no, we had the momentum. But I do have one more point.
I was going to say, so basically, and this is an interesting question to have, and I'll ask you guys now. Could you imagine PSG are still in Champions League? So this is a good question to have. If Champions League somehow finds a way to continue. Like, let's just say Champions League, they're like, hey, we're just going to play behind closed doors. We're going to start in the middle of June. Like, we're going to figure it out, but middle of the June, this is all, just a theory. What ends up happening with PSG? Does PSG turn around and be like, oh, well, we want to be in Champions League, but our, government physically won't let us? Do you take away their home games and now PSG just have to play 2 away games? Like, I just, because then that's also a travel thing. Because if I'm a PSG fan, PSG, yep, okay, the French league is over. But if PSG is traveling to theoretically Barcelona, are you telling me that, am I allowed to travel to Barcelona, or are PSG allowed to have away fans? Are there going to be fans at all? I
think the president canceling the domestic league doesn't really affect international leagues, so I would imagine they could they could play normally, but obviously there's no fans traveling. The second game, either both games in a neutral stadium or the second game is at a neutral stadium.
I mean, yeah, with
there's
no fans,
way they're
it doesn't matter if you have 2 away games. You're not having home field advantage with no fans.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
Honestly, I wouldn't care if every single league and every single competition finished neutral all the way around. Like every single league everywhere just did neutral. I would have no problem with that and no fans. But the second, go ahead.
I was actually going to carry this on to the MLS. I was going to make this our transition. So does anyone have any final points that they want to?
Yes, one last point. So we've been talking about a lot of these leagues that are getting canceled. Meanwhile, Germany is actually talking about restarting their league. So, France, Belgium, and Netherlands have all canceled the leagues. Germany's talking about restarting the season on May 9th. And they've already had meetings between the DFL and the state governments. And 2 of the state governors have already pretty much said they'd be open to reopening the stadium to closed doors, no fans. And they have like a framework in mind of testing regimens before games and trainings and for the referees and everyone. So the Germans have, oddly enough, handled the COVID-19 pandemic pretty well in terms of aggressive testing early on and have kept, numbers pretty well under control compared to, unfortunately, Italy and Spain and some European countries that get hit pretty hard. So the Germans are literally flirting with the idea of restarting the season starting May 9th and just finishing out the rest of the season. I imagine they would probably double up on games on some weeks here and there. But from everything that I've heard across all football leagues, aside from Belarus, Germany seems to be the only one that is flirting with restarting the season.
At least that's nice, because I think it comes down to the major 5 leagues in Europe. When it comes to France, Germany, England, Spain, and Italy, you have. Did I say Italy twice there?
Or no, you said Italy.
Oh, I said that right.
You got it correct.
Okay. Dude, I'm sorry. Dude, I was about to say, dude, it's been a long week.
It's been a long month and a half.
Yeah, right. Dude, I think I've been in my room for 7 years. I don't know what you're talking about.
Still looks like an infant. That face.
Well, I mean,
wow.
Wow. If I
coming from Grizzly Adams over here.
Grizzly Adams is gonna have to shave it off.
Finish your point, Matt. Finish your point.
Grizzly Adams did have a beard.
What movie is that from? I'm sorry.
Mister, get me out of here.
What was that? Happy Gilmore?
Yeah, Happy Gilmore.
But Grizzly Adams did have a beard. It basically, like what I was going up before was, I think everyone else in like top 5 Europe was sitting here waiting for someone to make a move, like someone to do something. And I get the French league, like that's a dramatic way to just be like, nope, that's it. Season's done. That's it. No winners, no losers. I am interested to see how they do Champions League spots, because I know that there's going to be Champions League next year. But I think it's going to be the most controversial thing ever, because I think certain teams are going to get snubbed and X and Y and money. Justin made a very good point. What teams are going to make money?
And more controversial than Champions League is which teams make Europa, because Europa are the ones that usually have the battle where like you either just make champions or you drop to Europa, or you just make Europa or you have no European competition at all. That Europa spot's going to be real competitive.
You can't quote me on it, but if you look at the Premier League, between teams 3 and 8 or 9 is it's 7 points or 8 points separate.
It's the same way with Serie A. It's just
Like you realize a team that's in eighth or ninth right now could win the next 5-6 games in a row, while a team in third can lose their next 3 or 4, and boom, they could just swap spots. Like that's how crazy it could end up being. And it's like I think I think if the French League want to finish this properly, you just cut everything. You just stop everything. No winners, no losers, no relegation. But at the same time, I think you need to be a unified front. I think you need to come in and just be like, hey, there's no Champions League or Europa for any French teams. Sorry, if there's no league, if we've canceled.
How do you hold on to superstars if you can't get Champions League action? You think Neymar and Mbappe want?
Well, so I think what I think, and this is just
on the same team with no Champions League action.
I was thinking about this, and I know this is kind of like hit or miss. It might not work, and I get it. There's probably holes in it. If you're listening to this and you want to mention it, if you want to like ask us questions, because I have no issue answering them. I think basically there's no Champions League or no Europa League next year. I think both competitions get suspended for one season. But what I think they end up doing, what I think they should do is I think you should make sure teams get their money. A super competition, just one super big competition where the 6 most valuable franchises in each league. So you basically take who makes the most money out of the top 6 in every league.
And you could do it that way. You could take like an average of top 6 finishes for the last like X amount of years or something like that.
You can do something like that where you do it where you basically do it March Madness style. You do it where it's one game.
So there's 80,000 teams that last like 8 years and nobody watches.
Well, no, it's not that. Like what you do is you get 64 teams because that's how many teams are in. Isn't it 64 teams in March Madness? But what you do is
I don't know. It seems like so many more.
So what you do is you just take that and it's one game elimination the whole way through. You get ranked at the beginning of the tournament. Like your Barcelona, a Barcelona would be a 1, a Real Madrid would be a 1, a Manchester United would be like a 3 or 4. Like you do something like that.
That's being awfully kind to Manchester United.
We're talking about over the years, though. We're talking about over the years.
I was about to say,
the last couple.
I was going to say, Manchester United 2 years ago finished second. Don't take anything away from Manchester United.
No, I totally disagree with that, and here's why. So I've already heard these ideas in the past of like a super league being formed, and if the Champions League or whatever competition you propose to replace it happens, that would give this idea more credibility. And I think it's a stupid as fuck idea because, I mean, as exciting it is to watch these big teams play each other, having an entire European league of like Barca, Real, Liverpool and Man City, Bayern and Dortmund, and, you know, Napoli and Juventus, and that being the entire league, and you know, PSG and Monaco, like that would get very boring very quickly. It's exciting having those upset games, playing the shit teams and watching a 6-0 game. Like those.
Normally, I completely agree with you, but like in this case, if you're not gonna have like Champions League or Europa League, like I think it's a decent alternative. Just instead of losing 2 competitions and having nothing.
I think
it's a decent alternative for 1 year. I wouldn't want it to continue.
Right, but the thing is, I think it opens that door, and that's not a door I want to open. But anyway, Matthew, I
just want to add one more thing before we move on. I just always find it like I watch 0 college basketball during the regular season. I watch absolutely not 1 minute. I'll turn it on if it's on TV, but I don't block out my Friday night to watch, you know, Duke play against Georgia Tech. But what I'll do when March Madness turns around, I am hooked. I want the number 16 ranked team to beat the number 1 ranked team. Like, could you imagine like a Barcelona has to play against, like six most average team, an Arsenal.
You know what?
Let's say Arsenal is like a 16th ranked team. Like Arsenal squeaks into this major competition. It's a 1-game elimination on a neutral site. You split the tickets 50-50. It's just it's literally 1-game elimination. That's it. So let's just say Arsenal finds a way to score a 1-0 late goal in the 90th minute to beat Barcelona. Kyle, don't give me those eyes. This is all in theory. It could never happen.
What kind of crack are you smoking?
Oh, I got it from this guy. No, But basically, like, I think that would make it a little bit more interesting. And you do it for one season. You do it for just 1 year. Because I'm telling you right now, people would be.
It's to boost the money. You
it.
do it for one season.
You get your money.
Everybody's gonna want it again.
But if it works, if it works, that could just be the end of Champions League.
I don't want the end of Champions. I like the way it is. I don't want that to be the end of Champions League.
I don't like change.
I don't like
this one-time thing would be a permanent
change. Do you think Ajax would have and Tottenham would have made it to the finals last year or close to the Ajax would have got as close as it did and Tottenham made it to the finals if it wasn't in the format you said? Hell no.
But the thing about it is
you gotta give a chance.
For Tottenham not making a final.
But could you just imagine, could you imagine a 14th ranked team coming in and beating, going up against, the third best team in the world? Like, so many people would be rooting for the underdog. I get it. I'm getting the stop sign. So as we talk about
I'm pulling out the red card on you. You're running on a tangent. You're daydreaming again. Somebody smack him in the face for me. Listen.
How dare you red card me with the flash drive I bought this podcast?
Wow.
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
No. So to transition this into the MLS, where we should stay, because clearly I have no business talking about anything going on in Europe. Nope. Basically, the rest of the world is starting to kind of show their colors on which way they're going and stuff like that. Now, the MLS is only 2 weeks into the season. Is it easy to say, hey, we're 2 weeks in, let's just null and void it?
Let's just cut the checks, dude.
I think that's
there wouldn't be checks.
Honestly the realistic situation. You're 2 weeks in. What are you going to lose?
I don't think.
Well, here's the other point. We're only 2 weeks in. There's still a lot of time left to crank out two-week game weeks.
Right.
Unless they're going to do something like the MLB and NHL are doing, where you have a shortened season with redevised groups to make it easier, and then an extended playoff bracket, something to get a season in.
I could see them turning around. Now, you have to play your in-conference teams at least twice, so I could see that instead of playing NYCFC twice, you only play them once. DC United, you only play once. Atlanta, you only play once. Now, the only problem you have here is where do you play? Because it's not like the rest of Europe where your farthest trip is a 2-hour train ride. Our furthest away team, Justin and I happen to hop on a plane for 6 hours.
I got a soccer field behind my house they can play.
Yeah.
Everyone get your butts to North Brunswick. But no, I mean I think that's the only problem here is we are 2 weeks in, and Dre makes a very good point. There's plenty of time to play 2 or 3 games a week.
Yeah.
You literally
I don't foresee them allowing.
Do Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday.
They're not going to let them play.
Look, I love it.
This Corona thing is going to go on longer than we think.
Right. Listen, we agree on that. But here's the thing. Do you think Trump will care? I think Trump will. He's like, yeah, fine.
Well, as far as any of this goes, I think the precedent setting is going to be the MLB. They're pretty much dedicated to late June, one site, closed stadium.
One site, everybody knows.
I think if that goes on, then there's a chance. If they get shut down, then no, it's a wash.
I don't see it happening.
I don't see sports coming back this year, unfortunately.
No.
And the problem with me is that if you're gonna, let's say they have 2 or 3 games for MLS, I feel bad for you guys because you didn't opt out this year and I opted out.
I did not get season tickets because
he works for
this all happened because you opted out. Thanks for reminding me.
Quick question: How does one drink a beer with this mask?
You have to cut a little slit in it and get a straw.
Because
the plastic straws that they're trying to ban.
Actually, you don't even have to get the slit. You get a bendy straw. Put the bendy side in your mouth, and then you put the.
Trying to ban those, dude.
Yeah, you
trying to save the environment.
Or you just shotgun it real quick and then.
Here, anyway, doesn't matter. No. Here, look. Season ticket holders are going to get royally screwed.
Stick it in your ass.
Royally screwed.
Yeah.
Season ticket holders. Yeah, because there's not a chance in hell. Let's say you go back to work. I start work come Friday, whatever, and there's 2 or 3 games a week. You can't go to those games. You got work. You just paid X number of dollars for season tickets, and you're going to get fucked.
Yeah, so what's nice enough, at least Red Bull.
It'd be nice for them to do something.
Well, the Red Bull have taken Kyle, haven't they taken any payment we've made so far, and they're just gonna
They haven't taken a payment since this started.
Yeah, I was about to say
what have you paid in full?
I'm probably the minority here, but I know there's probably going to be a refund thing if the whole season gets canceled. I would be perfectly okay because I know it's going to get paid forward. I'd be okay. Just take my payments, assume it's going to happen, and then credit me for next year. I'd be fine.
Oh yeah, if they did something, I was about to say, if they did something like that, like I can't imagine.
That sounds too hard.
For that team, yes,
for
it
them,
sounds extremely complicated.
Front office, that sounds way
also,
too hard.
I can guarantee you, next season, everything's going to cost more. The beers, the seats,
that happens
everything is going to but now specifically with this because they need to make their money back.
Well, no, this was the
your
first
tickets are probably going to go up.
This was the first year with the South Award raised prices for the first time in like a decade.
That was to cover the seats.
Right, but I'm saying they hadn't changed the price in 10 years. With inflation happening, they did not raise the price for 10 years.
Yeah, but like
so I don't blame them for raising it once every 10 years. That's good.
They raised
what he's getting at is that after all this said and done, they have to make up money that they've lost.
Right.
Yeah,
so we're going to upcharge the crap out of us in 2021.
Multinational corporation has to make up money.
Yeah, but
well, that's the reason the paying it forward isn't going to happen. Do you really see 100%. The front office not collecting money from ticket holders for a year? That's not going to happen.
They don't have an endless well of money, dude.
Well, Red Bull does.
But at the end of the day, you have a lot of people sitting at the fucking upper echelon table, and their pockets are getting smaller because they're losing money on the bottom end. So they're gonna screw the consumer.
Every day that stadium's not being used, people are losing. Every time
those tarps cost money, boys.
Yeah, every time the teams aren't playing, people are losing money.
Well, I mean, honestly, like this is just like. It's like a little bit of a side note. I absolutely love the videos of CEOs, in their big luxury mansions talking to their employees who have to work every day. We're with you. I'm here with you.
We're a fan.
What? Dude,
I'm self-isolating in my golf course on my whole fucking resort.
Is that a stable full of horses in the back of your video? You are not
Are you taking this Zoom call from a
Wait a second. Did you just draft a safety off your yacht?
You guys are boring. If I was a multi-millionaire, the first thing I would do is get Joe Exotic out of jail and have him living in my house with like 10 tigers.
God damn it.
What happened? That goddamn Carole Baskin.
We won't get that Carole Baskin. Don't worry. Joe Exotic coming out 2021.
No, so I mean, basically, I think like we all make a couple like decently good points. Like, there's still money. Like, unfortunately, everything in this world runs on money. So we got to see where the money goes because I think that's going to be a big play here. I think the MLS will try, especially if like the English Premier League can turn around and play 10 games in a month and a half period at a neutral site, no fans, only a couple cameras and the refs. I think they can find a way to get, whatever it is done. Yeah. If they do that, the MLS should be able to do the same. We have additional months to go. There's not going to be international breaks. There's not.
I think you cancel U.S. Open Cup. That's done.
Oh yeah, no, I think the U.S. Open Cup is.
It's just the season.
But
that's
what about the Leagues Cup? The super important one that's not even CONCACAF affiliated.
Oh well.
The cup that's totally not a waste of time.
Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah, that one.
Again,
the Mexican team's gonna win, right?
Yeah.
So basically, like that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the MLS's major priority one is to get this MLS season done and dusted. Like, whatever you have to do to get these remaining games played, do it. Like, if that means we only play DC United once this year, that's fine. If there's that NYC once this year, that's fine.
At this point, Kyle and I are convinced it's a conspiracy to keep us from getting a weekend bus trip to DC. That's literally Wuhan, China invented this fucking disease so that Kyle and I cannot get a Saturday night.
I can prove it mathematically. Last Sunday, we should have been shit-faced on a bus in DC, but we weren't.
But we weren't.
That's how you prove it mathematically?
Yes.
That's big facts.
Where was the
and then what happens? What happens right after that? The Pentagon releases UFO footage.
Yeah, but which by the way, that's like I was thinking about making that. What pissed me off this week was the fact that that's not bigger news. Like,
the
Pentagon literally
I think it's a mistake they chose now to release that. If they released that at any other point in time on a random Tuesday, when everyone's happy and healthy, it would be the biggest news story in the fucking world.
Shit would stop. Like, literally, like people would stop. Businesses would close because everyone would be like, "We're not alone, honey. The man on the TV says we're not alone."
And you know what? I'm stealing that from my what pissed you off, possibly, because I just want to point out what Dre just said. first contact is more likely than a DC bus trip.
At this point, Kyle, like I'm on the same page with you, bud.
You might actually be right.
You might actually be right, my friend.
So,
all right.
To kind of finalize it, I think like we make a lot of good points. A couple of us are on the fence where it's like, you know what, we're only 2 weeks in, just cut the season, no one gets paid. Ticket holders just get their money back, or it gets credited to the following year. Which honestly isn't a bad argument. You know, we're only 2 weeks in. Nothing's been decided. You know, It's not like someone's running away with it. It's not like someone is like, you know.
We haven't lost a game, just saying.
Oh my God, did the Red Bull finish the 2020 season undefeated? Oh my God. We're the greatest. What is it? The unbeatables.
Yep.
We haven't lost a game. NYC hasn't scored a goal all year. You know, good thing.
Oh my God, yo, I would 100%.
Season, guys.
I would 100% get a shirt that just says RBNY undefeated 2020.
Yes.
You couldn't keep that shirt in stock.
Dude, we'll make it. We'll make it.
So to go on to the final like discussion of like what is going on with like the whole like should it happen, should it not happen, XYZ, blah blah blah. Transfer window, you know, teams need to make their money, and a lot of teams. I'm wearing a Benfica hat right now because we were talking about transfers. Benfica's made
the farm team.
Yeah, well, Benfica's made over $1 billion in the last 10 years. Fight them. They've literally made over $1 billion in the last decade on transfers.
When you say fight them, do you mean the guy that owns Benfica or everybody that plays for Benfica, like all at the same time? Who am I fighting?
Not how it works.
Not how it works.
Not how it works, my friend.
No, basically.
He told me to fight them. Who am I fighting before I decide?
It's a pyramid. One person on top.
So before every game at the Benfica stadium, there's an eagle that flies around the stadium. Kyle, you have to chase down and fight the eagle.
Underneath the wings are just thousands and thousands and billions and millions of dollars.
All right, I'd like to start this one off.
So basically, to quick sum it up before Dre starts is what should happen with the transfer window. Some of us want the seasons to end. Some of us want us to rush to get the seasons done, get these last couple games in. Now, this is for Europe and MLS. This is across the board. A big topic, and I know Dre's going to jump into it. Transfers are going to happen. Like whether the transfer window is only 3 weeks or if the transfer window is 2 months, like it's a usual tradition in the summer. What happens with loanees? Like what happens with players on loan whose loans end at the end of June, but now their seasons might go into July and August? Do these loans get terminated? Do they get extended? Who pays for what? Because it's all about the green pieces of paper that we all kill each other for.
So I think that the transfer window will remain the same, most likely. There's probably not every single league is probably going to finish their season, but I think it might not start at the same exact time. Like usually what starts in May or June, I don't know exactly when. It might start a week or 2 or 3 late, but I think we will still have like at least a 8 or 9 or 10 week transfer season for sure. Definitely the months of June, July, and probably August, most of August, and probably all of August. I think we will still have a full transfer window. I don't see a way that teams can kind of get around that. Everyone's always in the market for players, looking to pick up new talent, offload players. About loanees, that's a little bit harder to say with teams that have a loanee player that like replace an injured one or something like that. They may not care as much, but if you picked up a loanee and he's like, the star player on your team, they might want to be like, oh, hell yeah, we want to keep him. Or like, can we get him, for the rest of the season or for the next season since we, didn't get to have him this season. Like that might become an issue. But I definitely do see a full, long, extended transfer window happening, especially if the seasons get canceled. There's nothing else to do but, trade players left and right. The one interesting aspect of all this is I think prices are going to tank, which in a way is a good thing because I think we were in an overinflated market with transfer prices starting to regularly go above 100 million euros.
Tottenham wanted $200 and something million for Harry Kane.
And go fuck off.
Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are, Chelsea Clinton?
Yeah. But no, I think that's going to be the one interesting thing that the prices are probably going to go back to what like I think is more normal and rational, as opposed to, you know, at this point I could sell for $3 million on the European market, you know. So that's my analysis on that.
Well, that's exactly it though. So the question we have here is, it's just like, I think it's a very good point. And over the last couple of days, there's been a little bit of back and forth with like the Jadon Sancho transfer rumors with Man United. Apparently, like at one point in time, Dortmund wanted almost $120 million for him. But now I'm hearing reports that with everything going on, United wouldn't ask for anything, or United wouldn't pay anything more than 85 or like 85, 90 in that price range. And apparently Dortmund aren't against that. Like, it looks like at this current point with everything going on, it looks like these teams might just take whatever teams offer as long as it's kind of in the general ballpark. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't see Man United coming in and offering them $30 million and them accepting it.
But not a shot. Not a shot.
But like, I mean, you look at that, that's, if they accepted it for like $90 million, that's $35 million less than it originally like was projected to be. You know, that's something that's a very big deal, because that's $30 million. I mean, today's day and age, $30 million is a very good young talent. You know, it's just interesting.
You get a lot of good players with $35 million.
In today's day and age, you can get half a player for $35 million. You get one of Lionel Messi's toes for $35 million, but it's not in his left foot. You either get his right index toe or pinky. Not
shit. I'd pay $20 million for a lock of his hair.
If I plant this in the ground, maybe another Lionel Messi will grow.
I think more realistically, though, it's going to be a case to case based on what happens league to league. I think if the league doesn't come back, at that point, there's no point in doing one. You might as well just wait and do your normal transfers going into the season, like normal. And I think which could be the case with, like, say, U.S. soccer, especially. Well, I'll say at this point, I think U.S. has a better chance of playing closed stadium and finishing a season than Europe does. Not to be that guy, I just think that's true, especially since you have, like, the big money makers in the U.S., baseball, hockey, all that, like, wanting to do it, and they'll throw out money to do it. So there might be something to go off of by the time we get there. Who knows?
Yeah, well, we're also ahead of the curve because Donald Trump came out with this brand new amazing thing where we're just going to inject ourselves with bleach because that's going to make me.
I mean, I've been doing it for years, man.
And we're going to inject ourselves with bleach and sunlight.
But then it goes into another question. If you're going to continue the season, do you do the transfer windows as normal? So say you're not playing, but the transfer window's here. So now we've only played 3 games. We don't know what we need yet. We might be okay. We might not. Let's do it. Or do you adjust them to fit what would have been in the new season? You know what I mean?
Would have been like a halfway point or something.
I look at it like this. You can you can't play games sitting from the boardroom. If I'm the chairman, like the head chairman, general manager, whatever you would like to call it, I can't do, like, you can't play soccer from an office, sitting in an office by yourself. But Dre, like, I could just use this. Dre currently right now is Dortmund, and I am currently Manchester United right now. Leave me alone.
I am not Dortmund.
I'm using this as, like, theoretically. So basically,
don't put that on me.
We can Skype call Jadon Sancho's transfer. That can get done with us just sitting on a computer looking at each other without us ever having to leave the comfort of your home or office. So it's really like, I think transfers can still get done and transfers should still get done because that's also how business is made. You know, you also look at it like Manchester United can make jersey sales on Jadon Sancho, even though Jadon Sancho never plays a minute of football this year. Like, if that deal gets done before the season's ended, like, let's just say, because the Premier League season's expected to go past June, but the transfer window starts in June, or July, I'm sorry. Basically, you know, you look at it like, if the transfer window starts before the season ends, if Jadon Sancho comes to Manchester United, Manchester United can still make jersey sales on Jadon Sancho, and Dortmund can still make money off of the transfer deal. Everyone is still making money. And as long as everyone is still making money, I think that should still be allowed to happen. I think the transfer window should be allowed to be open. But the MLS is a different ballgame because the season has just started for us.
Yeah.
And
my whole point with that is you don't know what you need after 2 games. You know what I mean? Like you might approach it differently.
I can honestly see a lot of coaches and managers saying, we have a good roster. We don't know how they're going to play. We don't really need anything. But at the same time, transfer window is a way to make money. So you're not going to give up that opportunity.
And at the same time, you look at it, though, I mean, like, I'll use Atlanta United as an example. Atlanta United, their superstar, and Joseph Martinez went down with a torn ACL, but he's recovering extremely fast. And by the time we actually have MLS soccer again,
he'll be back.
He'll be back. So you don't even, like, even if you had a guy with a major injury, and no one's picking up major injuries from the, comfort of their apartment or home or.
Well, you don't know. You don't know.
All right. Well, I mean.
Maybe someone blows their back out having sex or something.
I swear, if I hear a news report that Florian Valot tore an ACL in his kitchen, I'm going to be so mad.
I think someone agree is that
that would be the most Metro thing ever.
Every single person here knock on something, and at the same time, if you're a Red Bull fan, you knock on your closest piece of wood. I swear, I yelled at Dre for making this joke weeks ago. I'm yelling at you, Kyle. If this shit happens, it's all your fault.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be.
In the 2 games you've had, Valot has played fucking amazing.
But follow me here because this is the luck
that... The last thing I need is for him to tear his ACL.
He has no ACLs left to tear. They're both surgically repaired.
So follow me here because this is more likely to happen. Because our whole luck is just not there. So I think... See, we got through the first 3 games. He was fine, and then they're going to have the whole off season. And unlike Joseph Martinez, where he's going to be okay by the time we come back, like second game back, once everything's over, then he's going to do it.
Kyle, stop talking.
It's just how this works.
Okay? Seriously.
You're not wrong.
And we're going to sign Reese Bachmaster back for some reason.
Oh, my God.
Kyle, I swear to God, I will leave this chat so quick.
I'm sorry. I just don't hope for nice things anymore.
So actually, a good point Dre brings up, and he brought this up the other day, was Alexi Lalas, because we all love Alexi Lalas so much. Actually, you know what? I haven't hated Alexi Lalas as much as I usually do. He's actually been making some pretty good points on his podcast, so I really can't, hate him as much as I usually do. But this is an opportunity where the MLS can get on the European schedule. Is that something you would be interested in as an MLS fan? I mean, I'll go first. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be cool because there's pros and cons to both. The pros are we're at Red Bull Arena in February.
That's a pro?
No, that's a con.
Oh, that's what I thought. You said it's a pro.
No, that's a con. A pro is now we get to share a transfer window. Like our 2-month break in the summer is like everyone else's 2-month break. So our transfers mean just as much. It's not a mid-season trade.
Yeah.
It's an actual off-season acquire.
Here's a counterpoint though.
Hold on. You have 2 months to do it. But the only bad side is, like I said before, for teams, you look at Portland, Seattle, you have New England, you have us, you have teams in the northern regions of the United States. Yeah, the summers get pretty hot, but I don't know about all of you. I would rather sit at RBA when it's 102 degrees outside than it's 10 degrees outside. But
Matt, you realize RBA is
I'm not about that.
Dump.
I'm not
Remember
about
the smell
that.
of
Just for
that
the
dump
fact that
last year at 102
for
degrees?
3 to 4 hours before that.
That doesn't matter. They're shutting that down.
Yeah, they're shutting down.
The state had to come in and be like, no, we're shutting this dump down. It's bad.
Yeah.
But no, the counterpoint is, okay, Justin and I, both huge hockey fans. What would we watch in the summer if there was no MLS? The football season runs September to February. Hockey runs October to May or June. Basketball runs same thing as pretty much hockey and whatever and NFL. What would we do in the summer?
That's actually a very good.
The MLS kind of fills that gap for us.
That is That is a very good point, because I appreciate the MLS more, because when my European season ends, when Manchester United's done, when Benfica's done, when all the teams in Europe I support are done, I know I have a whole summer of MLS action to look at. But the one negative to that is Europe doesn't care. When Europe schedules their international breaks and the rest of the world must comply, the MLS is there to suffer. How often have we seen Red Bull players in the middle of a season have to miss multiple games because the U.S. men's national team called them up? Oh, good. Now we don't have Aaron Long for 4 games because he's too busy sitting on the bench.
And Tyler Adams.
Well, Tyler Adams is no longer our... What's a Kemar Lawrence?
Haku left a couple games.
I don't know what a Kemar
How many
Lawrence
games was he out due to internet? That was awful,
no.
because it was all of them at the same time.
I have other problems with Kemar Lawrence.
I'm not talking about that. I'm only talking about the games he missed because of this. Because of what we're talking about.
But that's exactly it. When the rest of the world goes on international breaks, it doesn't bother their league. When these teams go on international breaks, it affects the MLS. The MLS has to sit there and watch your best players now go play for country in meaningless friendlies for no reason whatsoever. While your MLS team, you're in the middle of a hectic schedule. You know, that's a week where you have 3 games a week, where you have a Wednesday night game, you know, in Cincinnati. And you know what? Heck, I could really use Aaron Long right now. I could use an additional center back. Or, hey.
I don't blame Aaron Long for not wanting to go to Cincinnati on a Wednesday. No, I'd much rather be playing against Mexico.
But that's not the point.
I know.
The MLS game is meaningful. The international friendly he's playing is not meaningful. So that's where I'm saying, like, it makes no sense. I think it would be beneficial, and I agree with Alexi Lawless, that this should be the opportunity. This is your one and only time, MLS. Get on the European schedule and stay there.
I agree. For me, at the end of the day, there's more pros than cons. You're not going to lose people to meaningless games, like Matt said. The transfer windows are going to line up. All these good points that got brought up. But I think the one issue, and it isn't just what to watch during the summer, the one issue I have with it is, like, me, Matt, and Dre, and us guys might not care. We might be at Red Bull Arena no matter what month it is. Who cares? But not everybody's going to think that way.
I literally bought a 200. Well, my fiance got me it as a engagement / Christmas present. Like, she got me a $300 LL Bean jacket. I can't get cold now, so I'm in it for those 10-degree games in February.
Oh,
like,
dude, especially after this whole nonsense, I don't care. 10 degrees, tailgating. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's it. That's fine.
If I'm drinking a bottle of something, especially a bottle of Jameson, I can't be doing that for 4 hours at a 109-degree day and then go into a game and expect to be completely fine. You're gonna have to drag me out of there, possibly dead.
Listen, everyone has those days. I've been dragged to and from Red Bull Arena, I'm sure.
There was a time we tailgated in the parking lot where Dre like face planted against San Jose last year and just didn't get up for a couple seconds. Like,
it's, you know, when your brain's like buffering, you ever see that, like, the loading icon? That's what was happening.
So, you know, the Apple loading logo came up on Dre's head, and Dre was just like, just give me a minute.
Like, no,
give me a minute.
Wait, buffering. Okay. Slowly get up.
There was literally a time at a Red Bull tailgate, I fell asleep in the back of Justin's car for like an hour because I just drank way too much, way too quick. And I was like, oh, if I'm going to be okay for the game, I need to
the away game last year?
No, that was a home game.
No.
I forget what home game.
I remember you sleeping in the car while we were waiting for a bus for some reason.
No, here's what I remember. I definitely remember there being a couple of, like, Chivas or Guadalajara or maybe Santos, whatever team we fucking played in the CONCACAF.
Oh, God.
Where we showed up and we got out the car, we started tailgating, we're like, nope, it's cold. And we sit back in Matt's car and sat in the car and drank in the car with the heat on just because it was so fucking cold.
100%. This
was
was
like, fuck it. Sit in the car and drink.
When it's 5 degrees outside, on a Wednesday night in Harrison, New Jersey, and the wind chill makes it feel like -10. No, excuse me. I'm going to be drinking beers from the comfort of the inside of my car, and there is nothing you can do or say that's going to make me change my mind.
Look, it's still doable, but we got to swap out our tailgate equipment, right? You don't bring tents to block out the sun now. You get those propane heaters that everybody.
Yeah.
You just got to swap out what you're bringing.
Dude, there's like portable igloos. We can get like a portable igloo
Instead
and just pop on the back of the bed of the truck.
So we can talk about this off the podcast, but let's talk about something on the podcast. I think these MLS teams actually bring in a lot of good attendance during the summer. Kids are off from school. You're able to bring the family. If you're a husband with a wife and kids, this is your way of getting the whole family out to your stadium to go do something. Yeah, basically, you look at it. If taking the summer out of the MLS, so you're taking your June, July, your August away from the MLS, is that going to hurt attendance? Now, unfortunately, I don't have attendance numbers in front of me. I have nothing to compare.
Let me bring up my numbers. It's not good.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not talking Red Bull. I'm just talking about MLS in general. I'm going to the VAR and I'm looking for MLS in general. But basically, do you think it would hurt attendance switching to the European schedule? I think it would. I think it would, but at the same time, I don't think it will, because I think if you're going to get those MLS diehards, they're going to come out like Kyle just said.
The supporter sections are going to be there, rain or shine.
Yeah, the thing is,
that's not going to matter.
No, but those
supporter sections.
I was about to say supporter sections are going to be filled any day of the week, but it's those seats all the way on the upper deck, those $20 seats all the way upstairs. We're using the Red Bull as an example. They need to fill those seats because
to be fair, they can't fill them on an 80-degree sunny day. So what's the difference?
Shots fired.
No, but it's true. If you're on that European schedule and during the summertime here, there's going to be kids off of school, teachers off from school, stuff like that, and they'll be able to become season ticket holders or just go to games simply with their kid here or every now and then.
I literally can't get my fiance to come to a game unless it's in the summer. So
same.
Is it sad to say I'm okay? Oh, Alex,
no. Keep going. Keep going.
Is this the breaking news?
Yeah, keep going, Matt.
Proposed to me last night.
Oh. Yo, Steph is side note, Steph is gonna be if Kyle gets engaged before Steph does, Kyle's gonna get killed.
The only person he's gonna do it with is me, so let's make it happen.
All right, so we are going. Basically, we talked about a lot of different things, and I think everyone across the board has made a lot of good points. I mean,
shit sucks.
I mean, a lot of the shit does suck. I think we've all made very good points, and honestly, I'm happy with all of our answers. I don't think anyone here gave a crazy answer that didn't make sense, and you know what? Good on every single one of you. Now, we're going to transition to this is like a fun question. This is I was thinking about this the other day, and you know what? We were talking about Sunderland Till I Die. A lot of soccer fans absolutely love Sunderland Till I Die. It's the most depressing Netflix series you can watch, and when you find out, oh my God, this is a real team that's going through these real struggles, it hurts you a little bit heavier. The question I have for the group: if you could change Sunderland, basically, if you could put a different team, a different sports franchise in there, and why? It doesn't matter the sport. It doesn't have to be soccer. But what sports franchise would you put in there and why?
Ryan Robin, let's do it quickly.
I mean, I was about to say,
tell your... I'm going to go first. I didn't know that it was any sport. I did pick soccer, but if I could give a quick side one, it would be like some weird video game league just to see where that would go. But no, coming back to like a replacement series, like let's say like Sunderland, I would like to go back to like the original days, like the beginning of MLS, and looking back at like the OG 10 teams. I could say Metros and be that guy, I'm not gonna do it.
I think that's a good point. The original Metros, because that's depressing, because that's it's a team that never the teams that never could. Kyle, what are you thinking? Instead of Sunderland, what depressing sports franchise would you?
That wasn't even my answer, Matt.
Oh, what was your answer? I'm sorry.
That's what I said. That I'm not going to use the cop-out Metro answer.
Look, here's Matt cutting people
Here
off.
It is.
Big shock.
No, I heard round robin. Let's fire this off. So I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to get us.
No, my actual choice would be LA Galaxy. Honestly.
Galaxy. They were. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay.
I'm an OG guy from Cali, but that being said, they won the Western Conference their first year, lost to DC, huge team in the MLS. I think that would be a really good story, honestly.
And you know what? That's actually a pretty good point because they have a lot of previous success, but the last few seasons, they didn't make the playoffs last year at all. Or at least I don't think they did. Yeah, I think they fell short, but they have a lot of things to talk about, which are high points, but at the same time, they don't succeed on the field, and I feel like that brings them down.
Has this become one of those LAFC got a TV show on ESPN? Where's ours?
So, Kyle, put on a shirt. That's number one. But number two, yes. If you could replace Sunderland.
Kyle with a shirt in 4 months. He's not going to start today.
If you could replace Sunderland, so instead of Sunderland till I die, what sports team would you put
Don't
there?
Say Red Sox. Don't say Red Sox.
Nobody wants to watch that. That's just horrible.
Okay, good.
Come on, we all had to watch Fever Pitch.
Justin's I want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody wants to watch get somebody get beat up for 86 years.
I do.
Justin's how do I get front row tickets to the show?
But no, to make it quick, I'm going to go with a cop-out / maybe.
Don't say it.
Maybe weird answer since they're newer, but I think along the same lines, I think a Red Bull one might be interesting. But I'd actually go with NYC. I just think a documentary in that style about their search for a stadium and how the league keeps letting them down would be kind of an interesting story. I think it might be just as moving in different ways.
Kyle, I can send you a couple of documentaries about the homeless issue in America. They already exist.
There it is.
No,
I was being real for 5 minutes without being
mean.
Screen, $17 hot dog.
I you know what? I 100% agree with Kyle. This is a team. Could you imagine? There was a lot of hype coming into the league. Hey, brand new team in New York. We teamed up with Man City and the Yankees. We brought in via Lampard and Pirlo. There's a lot of hype, and then there was just a nosedive. Now they did have a very good year last year, but immediately crashed and burned in the second round of the playoffs. So I think that would be an interesting thing. And then the whole fact that they don't have a stadium, I think that also, that makes a pretty cool story. I'm just going to go around the circle I see on my Skype. Justin, if you could replace Sunderland, a very depressing franchise, who are you replacing? What Netflix series do you want to watch about a depressing sports franchise?
Oh, I was going to say myself, but sports franchise?
Again, it could be any sport whatsoever.
It's gonna be the Rangers, dude. It's gonna be the Rangers because it's gonna be a long 20-some-odd year recap documentary of tear-jerking close moments and not getting there.
Here's the highlight of all the times you cried. Enjoy.
Yeah.
If they could just replay the entire 2012 series versus the Devils, where we beat them in the Eastern Conference finals.
Did you guys get spanked against LA in the Stanley Cup that year too?
Yeah, but you know what? We made it to the Stanley Cup.
And then we got to the Stanley Cup a couple of years later against LA, and they spanked us too.
Yeah.
To be fair, Dre, we could have one about the Devils, but it'd pretty much just be images of our front office staff for 2 hours.
So Dre, Sunderland till I die. Really upsetting series about a team that almost can but never can. Trying to get back to the Premier League but can't.
3. First one, non-soccer. Cleveland Browns. That'd be fucking hilarious.
I would 100%
That would be Die-hard fan base. Super Bowl 4 consecutive years. Can't win shit.
I don't care what you say. Kyle and I would watch a series about the Cleveland Browns.
I would watch it. I don't even want to watch
a separate. I want to watch a separate series about Baker Mayfield. That's all I want to watch.
That might be a better train wreck than Joe Exotic.
Number 2.
The Browns got a movie.
Wait, the Browns have a movie?
With Kevin Costner. The fucking drafted movie. It's actually pretty
much like the Browns, it didn't do well.
No, not a fake movie though. I want to watch a real
documentary style.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I want to see the disappointment.
A Netflix original series.
Yeah, I want to see the hope and dreams of people in Cleveland. I want to see the hopes leave their eyes.
So like Oakland Raiders deserve the Raiders fans on that one.
Number two. The next two are both soccer related. One, this is for all the OG fans who've listened to every episode since day one. My Ukrainian team, Karpaty Lviv.
Of course.
How can you not?
They are still officially technically in the Premier League. And you know what? If there's one country I would not mind canceling the season with no pro rel, it's fucking Ukraine. Because right now, Karpaty is dead last out of every single team in the Premier League. So if there's no relegation promotion in Ukraine, I will be a happy camper because we get one more year in the top flight.
What's that team again?
It's called Karpaty. They're from my hometown in Lviv in the western Ukraine. And my most serious actual answer, and that would be in Germany, saying Hamburg. They were the dinosaurs of the league last year. Was the first time in the 40, 50, I think it's 60 plus year history of the Bundesliga. They were the last team that had not been relegated, and they finally went down to the second Bundesliga. And the last match of the season was a huge emotional moment. I'm not going to get much more into it, but that would make a great series for sure.
Honestly, like watching the fans, like I remember watching that final game, like they were already relegated. Like it didn't matter if they won or lost the last game, like they were already relegated. Like the fans almost burned the stadium to the ground because this is like the first time ever they were relegated. Mm-hmm. And
even teams like Bayern went down, Dortmund went down. The last team was Hamburg.
All right, so I'm going to finish it up. Not American football, not European football, not baseball, not hockey, not tennis, not golf. Cricket. We're going to go to the NBA.
And we're not talking about water polo?
No, we're going to go to a franchise that's literally a walking joke, and we're going to talk about the New York Knickerbockers. That's right, the Knickerbockers.
What sport is that?
It's Carmelo Anthony's fault, okay?
No. So we're talking about a team so the New York Knicks are a team that literally has the most money. They have the most money. It's a crazy to think that even the cheapest seats in Madison Square Garden are $200 something to go see a team that barely wins 10 games a season. But this is a team that can't get to the playoffs, continue to bring in consistently good players after good players after good players. Can't make the playoffs. They tank to get the number one draft pick. Can't get the number one draft pick. All the best free agents don't want to go there. James Dolan, who is the owner of this team, literally runs fans out of the stadium by kicking people out because they voice their opinions. Spike Lee, who has been a season ticket holder for the New York Knicks for the past 20, 30 years, literally canceled his season tickets because James Dolan yelled at him because of an entrance he came in. Spike Lee pays almost $50,000, $60,000 a year for his season tickets. He sits front row. He's been sitting front row for the past 20 years. James Dolan yelled at him because of an entrance he came in. Dude, when someone's paying that amount of money to be a season ticket holder for your failing franchise, he could come through the sewer system. I don't care. Like, it just, the whole franchise is a joke, and they shouldn't be a joke because they make so much money. I think a behind-the-scenes documentary of how bad this franchise is inside and out and how bad the culture is, I think would make for some entertaining sports movie thrilling. I don't know. That's it. I have nothing more to say. Go Dallas Mavericks. Okay.
All right, Justin.
I guess that's going to take us to our last and final chit-chat of the night. As always, we talk about what pisses us off. Picks us off? Sure, whatever. I'm going to start, and I'm feeling super happy after today's executive order because golf courses are open. So everything else doesn't mean shit to me because come May 2nd, I get to go play golf.
Just make sure you wear your mask.
I'm not wearing my mask. So they have this concept where if you're going to take a cart, you have to walk or take a cart by yourself. And then when you putt the ball into the hole, They actually cork the hole so the ball doesn't go in, so you don't touch the flag or anything. But just to get on the golf course is going to be insane.
A lot of people are going to be hitting their best golf games because they're corking the hole.
How you doing?
How you doing?
No, see, Dre doesn't get that. Justin gets that.
I got it.
Someone else go. I mean, or I'll go. I don't give a shit.
Dre, go.
I think Matt's ready.
Okay. I mean, all right. Well, what's pissing me off this week? It's not more pissing me off this week. It's more of like what's disappointing me this week. And what's disappointing me this week is unfortunately the coronavirus has won. It won. That's it. My wedding officially is in the process of getting rescheduled. My honeymoon. I am 3 beers deep. I'm gone. Lightweight over here.
Mm-hmm.
You think drinking every single night during this pandemic would make me a better drinker? Yeah, basically my honeymoon is in the process of getting rescheduled. And if you
that I'm not surprised about, but the wedding.
Yeah,
that's
so
news.
If you think scheduling or planning a wedding once is fun, wait until you have to do it all over again. Except this time you already know who you want, but you got to configure a date. Kill me slowly.
You are being killed slowly right now.
No one said you had to propose, Matt. You chose this.
Perfect timing, dude.
If there was ever a time, you ever hear the old Southwest commercials? Want to get away? Yeah, I want to get far the fuck away. All of this. Oh my God, these smiles are false. I'm dying on the inside.
Welcome to the club. Dre, go ahead. Take it away.
All right. What's pissing me off this week? Honestly, I haven't had that bad a week. It's been pretty all right. If I had to think of anything.
You work from home. You stay in your pajamas all day. Yeah, you're
like I said, I can't really complain like that. I honestly like if my job's like, hey, you don't have to come back, you can work from home going forward, I would fucking be the happiest fucking person.
The walk from the fridge to my bedroom is really far.
The most difficult walk is the most difficult thing is waking up early enough to make myself some tea. So when the alarm goes off, I'm like, okay, do I get up now, make tea, and I'm ready to go to work? Or do I sleep in and join the meeting like 3 minutes before it starts and I'm like hella tired? Yeah,
it's Alex. He's gotten really good at rolling out of bed like 3 minutes before that meeting starts.
Yeah, but then I have no tea and I'm there for like a minute. You know, it sucks. But no, what's pissed me off is that like,
if you freaking say that
cop that answer, but like I just fucking miss sports.
Chris,
I miss sports. I miss soccer. I miss hockey. At this point, I'm watching. So I've already watched Ultras, and now I'm on the English game, and it's pretty good. It's it's scratching that itch, but not as much as going to a game or even watching one. But I do like the English game, so at least I have that going for me. But yeah, I'm just pissed off that I can't watch sports.
Live sports. Yeah, seriously, the Belarusian league. Get your shit together. Get ESPN to fly.
I was in Belarus last summer, and I didn't do a tour of a stadium. I was outside one of the stadiums in Minsk. Pretty cool stadium.
Right. Do you realize how much money? Do you realize how much
Belarus,
money?
Come on. If you're gonna keep playing, at least get some TV rights. You could have had a month and a half of being the only soccer league in the fucking world. That's money. People would pay for that.
This is just like a theory here. If we get someone from Belarus to just live stream a game from his phone, is that enough? I think I'd be okay with that.
Set up a Patreon account or like a Twitch stream or something.
Yep, that's it. How much you want? 30, 40, $50 for live soccer? Fine, here you go. PayPal. Done. Okay, cool. Give me live soccer now. Alex.
So that's what I got.
Alex, what's pissing you off this week?
I mean, I'm also kind of working from home and everything's, I guess, okay. But honestly, the only thing that's really making me mad is the weather this week, like upcoming week and last week, has been very rainy here in New Jersey and shitty and cold.
Showers.
Yeah, shitty and cold, so I haven't really been able to go outside, ride my bike, or really do anything outside of this house. So, I'm feeling those four walls real close.
Yeah.
They're closing in. Did anyone ever remember the band Relient K?
No.
Unfortunately.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. There's a music video they have where the walls are literally closing in as they're playing, and I was like, that's how I feel.
You mean
You're bad.
Suicide
You should
Silence?
feel bad.
Suicide Silence has that music video.
Wait, what song from Suicide Silence?
The one where he yells Blarg.
I'll send it to you.
Oh, the one where he screams.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
And Kyle.
It's the one with the blast beats.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, the blast beats. The blast beats in the Suicide Silence song. Yes. I now know what song you're talking about. Hey, Kyle, finish it up.
What pisses me off this week is a mixture of two different things. Number one is the sudden realization that one day our massive streak of Matt mentioning his wedding on every episode will come to an end. By the way, we should keep count on that.
We'll end the episode after his wedding.
And number two,
guys, the bill for my wedding. Damn it! I thought you would stop talking about this.
And number two is the fact that I have been back at work for 2 goddamn days, and I already had the first Karen of the year.
Oh God!
Can't even be at work for 2 days without dealing with a fucking Karen. People aren't leaving their house to get things they need, but somebody needed to leave their house to yell at me.
Yep.
Unfortunate.
Kyle,
unfortunate.
Kyle, I would.
Should have just put the bricks back, man. You should have just put
I would take a
bricks.
poop in the middle of
I know.
the
I'm such a piece of shit for not doing things that aren't in my goddamn job description.
You bastard.
Kyle, I would just leave my house to just scream good nothings at you too.
I wish. All right, kids. Now I want you to scream real loud at my ass.
And on that note,
oh no, I think Justin's right. And on that,
I think I'm right on this one. Shout out to the employees at Chick-fil-A, because technically you're not really essential, but God bless you guys for being there yesterday. And
essential. They're a food provider. Yes, they're essential.
They are food providers. That was delicious yesterday. That sums it up for episode 11. Thanks for joining us.
We did it.
Bye.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Post and Pints. If you want to join in on the conversation or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, that's at Post and Pints Podcast. And remember, the banter is free, but the beer is not included. Drink responsibly.